Alright guys, Andy Good here again with another video. Tonight's the first meeting of our Honeybee Association for Blount County, Alabama. I raise honeybees. You'll see some of that this year. So I'm going to take you guys along to the first meeting, and hopefully you can learn something about honeybees. So let's get after it.
So I learned from you too. So I like doing PowerPoints because it sort of keeps me on track. I'll forget what I'm going to say if I don't have a PowerPoint or something outlined in front of me. So I use PowerPoint a little bit. And but that doesn't mean that if you have a question that you can't stop me and ask me what the question is, what's on your mind. We do, by the way, have a question box back there. If you want to put questions in that, Mary Gray suggested the other day, our secretary suggested that we have a question box. Can y'all hear me okay back there? I can't tell if I'm talking loud enough or not. Good.
I can hear you.
There's some of us that are definitely than others.
Oh,
But
my husband.
so if you have a question, you can put it in the box or ask me. But if it's something maybe more involved or something we may not get to, put it in there, and we'll try to look at it before the end of the class. If not, I will plan to try to get back to you sometime. If you put your email or phone number on there, then I will make it a point to call you and answer your question, or either tell you I don't know, which there's a lot of that. I don't know everything yet. And one of the things that I think Henry Ford said, that as long as you're learning, you're young. When you're 80, if you're still learning, you're young.
That's right.
If you're 20 and quit learning, you're old. And so we're here to learn, so that means we're all young. I said that in the class one time of non-beekeepers, but Don Nelson, who is a beekeeper, was in the class, and he's in his 90s. I don't know how old exactly, but he's in his 90s. And I said that, and I said, "Isn't that right, Don?" He said, "I started keeping bees in 1946. So that made the point, I guess. What I plan to do this evening is to go through some elementary, basic things about honeybees, individual honeybees, anatomy, and a life cycle of honeybees. And these things may seem at first like, why do I need to know these things? But if you're going to diagnose a problem, if you're raising bees, if you're going to diagnose a problem, you need to know something about what bees are supposed to be doing. Why are they behaving like this? And are we going to have enough chairs? Do we have enough chairs? Okay. There's a couple up here that we can get if we have to. I'll move my hat here. We have a PA system, but I don't know how to use it, so I'll have to try to talk loud. And with this no understanding about honeybees, about a little bit about their anatomy, about what they're doing, I think will help us to be better beekeepers. But it's just interesting to me. They are fascinating creatures, and the way they're designed and the things that they do really is fascinating. And I hope that you find it that way as well. And one night, not the next night, we don't plan to be doing this every Thursday night for the next 4 weeks. One night, I plan to be talking about not the honeybee as an individual, but the honeybee colony as a whole. And we'll look at it that way and see what the difference is. There's quite a bit of difference there in looking at an individual honeybee and how the honeybee colony interacts, each one doing their own thing. And I am continuing to look back and see if everybody is in. Is everybody in now? Is everybody in? Yeah. Okay. Well, what we'll do, we'll begin with a prayer, and then we will take up from there. Our Father in heaven, we're so thankful to you for all the blessings that you've given us, and we're thankful for this opportunity that we have to get together with people who are interested in learning more about your creation, about the honeybee, We pray that through our efforts that we provide better services and that we are good stewards and that we learn more about the bee and do things according to your will. We ask it in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. And that just reminded me, as I was thinking about that, Mike, the past president, I can't think of the last name.
Brady.
Huh?
Brady.
Mike Brady, I couldn't think of his name. I talked to him this past week, and he was in the hospital then. He's had pneumonia, and so I'm assuming that is still the case. And Lottie, I'm not sure how much control you have over the heat, but I believe it's warming up. No control. I have a fan blowing in here. I'm glad I didn't wear a big coat. Okay, we're going to dispense with the meetings this time, and we have several new members, but since we're going to have our class this evening, I will dispense with introducing the new members at this point, and we'll do that at the next regular meeting. Not everyone who's coming to the class probably is going to want to join the association, and that's fine. But if you do, it's $10 a year, and Lonnie, our treasurer, is taking the money for that. He's also taking money for beehive, package bees, if you want that. And they are $125 a package, I think that's right. And delivery when? March the something?
18th.
March 18th.
16th, okay. March 16th.
18th.
March
18th.
March 18th.
You're Stephen.
Yes, sir. I've got the sheet right here on the reason I knew that already.
Bill,
All right.
I got a book too if anybody wants this. Bill.
Lonnie also has a book by Keith Delaplane, First Lessons in Beekeeping. It's a good book, and we sell those for $10, and that's about, you can order them online, but from Lonnie you don't have to pay postage. So, and that's a good book. I've read it, and Keith Delaplane is really a knowledgeable person, and I recommend it, but that's up to you if you want to purchase it. And, okay, I think we are ready to begin, and I am not sure that I am exactly set up like I want to be, but I think I am. One thing I did want to mention to us beekeepers, that things that we might need to be doing this month is, of course, we're taking, the bees are not doing anything right now. But it's kind of notice what's starting to bloom. Nothing, really. Randy said he has henbit blooming at his house. I don't think I have that at my house yet. But usually in January, red maple starts to bloom. That's a good thing for honeybees. Red bud blooming February, and then that's some of the first things that we will see blooming. You may see days when it's 50 degrees or better. You may see the bees out flying around looking for something. There's not much out there for them now. Make sure, if you have them, make sure they're fed. Make sure you have either sugar water. It may be too cold for sugar water. I've been putting dry sugar on mine. You can have fondant or sugar candy, make a candy. And I think I have a recipe for that. As a matter of fact, I think Barry, did you bring the recipe on that? Okay. No, I'm not find it for sugar water.
I have one
Okay. We'll look at that, and if you want that, if you don't have it, it's not complicated, but I can send anybody that if you want that. Okay. Varroa, this is the time of year when Varroa is low, so it would be a good time to be treating for mites. If you're treating with something like oxalic acid that doesn't get under the cappings, they're only going to kill the porotic mites, the ones that ride around on the back of the other bees. And so this will be a good time to do that. When it warms up a bit, it's still too cold for that. All right. And make sure, the way to make sure they have enough food is to go around and lift up the back of the hive. If it feels light, they probably need something. And you'll learn the difference between light and heavy after a while. Okay, I am going to be talking about getting personal with your honeybees, learning something about the anatomy, and I went off without my remote clicker, so I'm going to have to do this like this. All right. Why honeybees? This is really a presentation within itself. But briefly, when we think about honeybees, we think about honey. But also they are very important for pollination. It's just, can't say enough about how important they are. We are an agricultural state and an agricultural nation. Pollination is so important to our food supply. So honeybees are important for that, as well as pollinating what you have around them, and also our ecosystems. You know, we don't think about that, but the plants, the variety of plants that make up the ecosystem, if they are not pollinated correctly, if they get out of whack, then that can affect our water supply, can affect erosion, a lot of things. So honeybees, pollinators in general, honeybees and honeybees are important for that. Now, when you look in the hive, there are three types of bees in there. Two of them are female and one is a male. Most people recognize the queen. She is longer than the others. And the workers, they are the smallest. They are the smallest of the bees in the hive and the most numerous. And the drone is the male. Now, we think of understanding the difference between these. When you go and look and inspect in the hive, you want to make sure that there's a balance, the right balance between bees, workers, drones, and queens. Of course, there's only one queen in the hive. So that might help you diagnose a problem that you might have. There's workers, the queen are the two females. The workers and the queen are both female. And the drone is the male. And that's what you'll find in the hive. The queen, you can usually recognize her because she has a longer abdomen. Notice how far past wings her abdomen protrudes. That's one way you can recognize her when you try to find her in it. Sometimes they're hard to find, but that's one way to find her, is the long abdomen. Now, she can lay up to 1,500 eggs a day. You may read something that says 2,000. I've read something that says 3,000. Most recent research says about 1,500. 2,000 would be on the outside. 3,000, you may have two queens in there. Ordinarily, you don't have two queens. You should have one queen in there. But sometimes there's a mother and a daughter. If you're getting 3,000 a day, that probably means you have two queens. I have never counted my eggs, but just take that as an important number, 1,500 a day. You need that many days in the summertime the hive to survive. And she mates at the beginning of her life. She goes out very soon after she emerges from a cell. She goes out and mates with 10, 12, 15, maybe 25, up to 25 drones. And then she doesn't leave the hive again unless they swarm. When swarm season comes, she may swarm. But ordinarily she stays in the hive, she lays eggs, and that's about all she does, except we will talk a little bit more when we talk about the colony, about how she maintains order with a particular pheromone that she emits. The queen pheromone helps keep the other bees calm. They know she's there, so they are in a state of cool, calm, when you open the hive up and you hear that nice little hum, that's a good sign. When you hear a roar, that's not a good sign. And it may mean the queen's not in there, but it usually means there's something wrong. Oh, lifespan, I did say, it does say officially 1 to 5 years. Don't count on that. If you get 2 years out of a queen, that's probably it. And sometimes a new queen will only last for about 6 months. So that's the way things are today. We'll talk more about that later as well. And but the workers are much shorter life. They may live 5 or 6 weeks in the summertime. In the wintertime, they will live all winter, so 2 or 3 months. And they do most of the work. They're females. That's the way things are supposed to be, isn't it? But they,
You got the helmet on, you got-
Trouble now.
But they divide the task by age. As they get older, they do different things, and they don't all do the same thing. But they work inside, some work inside the hive, and some work outside the hive, but they all do different tasks. And the older the bees get, the older ones work outside the hive. They are the foragers. Now, some of the things they do inside the hive is they build wax combs, they clean cells, they process food, and nurse. They're nurse bees. Every bee doesn't do the same thing. But some of them do this, some of them do that, and they all work together. They don't have to be told what to do. They all know what to do. And but the out of hive, when they get so old, they become guard bees, and then they go outside the hive and they begin foraging for nectar, pollen, and water. What else?
Blue.
What?
Blue.
Propolis, glue, yeah, right. And so they have to have that propolis. And you see them sometimes just before they begin foraging. You go out and see them flying around out in front of it, getting oriented to the hive. Before that, they get oriented to the hive, and then they go off foraging, and then they come back right to that place. If you move the box, they'll come back to the same place anyway. So remember that when you're thinking about moving your bees around, they'll come back to where they first oriented to. The drones look a little bit different. They probably weigh about the same thing as the queen, but they're not as long. They're heavier built. They don't have a stinger, and they have more rounded bodies. Now there may be hundreds of drones in the hive. And the drones, their one task is to go mate with a queen. Not the queen in the colony where she is, but the queen in another colony. So, and really, usually a queen in another bee yard, in another apiary. They fly a different distance. They go to a drone congregation area. How these drones find this is not really understood. But year after year, they go to the same place. The queen, and they gather there by the hundreds or thousands. When the queen flies through, there's a race to see who mates with the queen, and whoever the drone that mates with the queen immediately dies. And so she will mate with 15 or more, 20 or 25, and that gets a diversity in the DNA. That's the way that's done, but they don't inbreed. They don't breed. As a matter of fact, one of the things the workers do, if they find an egg that is inbred, they'll take it out. How they know that, I don't know, but they will pull them out. The drones don't contribute anything to the hive. Their one task is to mate with the queen. So they have to be fed. They don't even feed themselves. Well, they can, but most of the time the workers feed them. But then when wintertime comes and food gets scarce, their drones are kicked out. And you may see in September, October, you may see drones on the ground in front of your hive. You may see them out on the front porch trying to get in, but the workers won't let them in, poor thing.
Question, on the drones, you said there are a few hundred in a particular colony, an average colony. So how about many workers would you have in a particular colony if you just have a few hundred drones? Was, you know, I know
Well,
it's different
that's
from
a good
season to
question,
season.
And I think I'm just about to get to
Okay.
that right here. But yeah, that's right. Ordinarily, there's one queen per colony. Of course, I've said sometimes you can have a mother and a daughter, so there may be two queens. But if you introduce a queen in there that's not her daughter, that's not related, they will probably attack her. So you have to be just really careful about that. The queens usually don't want another queen in there, and the workers don't want a queen in there they don't recognize. One queen per colony is regular. Drones, as I said, hundreds per colony, but workers, a small hive would have 10,000, and it can go 60,000 up to 60,000 or even more than that. So the more bees you have in there, the more honey you can make. And the stronger your hive is, of course, that means more maintenance too. But 60,000 bees is not an unusual, 50 or 60,000 bees is not an unusual number to have. Well, let's look at some stages of development. Honeybees go through the same metamorphosis that butterflies do. There's 4 stages. There's an egg, larvae, the pupa, and then the adult. And let's look at that. And the first 3 are called brood. When you're looking in your hive, these 3 stages, they're brood. And then the rest of them are adults. To begin as an egg, the egg's laid in the cell. The queen, she has a long abdomen. She reaches all the way back to the end of the night. It looks like you're thinking about going into the bottom of the cell, but actually it's the back of the cell. So you're thinking about the back of the cell. And the cells are not actually horizontal, they are tilted just a little bit. And she will lay one egg in the back of the egg, in the back of the cell. Her long abdomen allows her to do this. And the eggs stand upright for about 3 days, and then they fall over and eclose, or we'll get to that. The eggs can be either fertilized or unfertilized. If it's fertilized, it's a female. If it's unfertilized, it's a male. Now, I'm not enough of a biologist to explain that to you, but that's the way it is. So, think about this. We'll get this a little bit. If you have a situation where you have all drones, you look in your colony, in your hive, you have all drones, what's the problem?
Laying workers, probably.
Well, let's say you don't have a laying worker yet, but you have all drones.
Unmated queen.
Yeah, the queen has run out of semen, so she's laying all drones. So she's no good. So that is the sign. That's the time to get rid of her right there. So then the term hatch is what we use. The official term is eclose. That's outer shell just sort of dissolves off of it, and then it's a larvae. And the larvae grows pretty rapidly, and after it lays on its side, and it forms a C shape, and it grows until it fills up that cell. And then once it fills up the cell, the bees come along and cap it. But this is another good sign too. You see all that milky looking stuff in there? Of course it's not milk. You might think of it as milk from a hive, but this is beef food and brood food, and you want to see that. If you have brood in there, you want to see plenty of this milky liquid. If you don't, they may not be getting enough food, or you may not have enough nurse bees to take care of the. But after they go through the stage, after they go through the larva stage, and a certain amount of time, they're capped over, and then the larva stands up on its end, spins a cocoon, and starts forming a bee. But this stage right here is called the pre-pupa, when it stands up. It's just been capped and it stands up. That's called the pre-pupa. And as it goes along, it starts to take shape and then get some coloration. The first color you see is its eyes. That's the first thing. So when you're pulling the larvae out, looking at it, kind of check things, and when you see the pull it out and it starts to have a little purple eye, that's a sign that they're developing. Here is some developing at different stages. You see this, the pre-pupa here, and here is some that has some eye coloration, and this one here looks like it's just getting about ready to chew her way out. So that shows the difference. And when they're adults, they chew out themselves. They chew their way out. Nobody helps them out. I've watched them do this. I timed about 5 minutes. I've heard somebody else say it takes longer than that. But they will chew their way out. And when she comes out, she's going to be still kind of soft. She's not ready to fly. She can't sting it. She'll have to get hardened up a little bit before she can do that. So here's a way to look at the different kind of brood in there. The queen is the most recognizable because she has a long cell that looks like a peanut shell, and it hangs vertical on the face of the frame. The workers have the capping is about flush with the top of the cell, but the drones, you will see that the drones, can you tell that capping is domed, has a little dome on it? That's because they're larger, so they require a little bit larger. Now, don't pay attention to the difference in the colors. The colors may vary, but the point is, this is domed, that is almost flush, and of course the queen is very recognizable. Notice also, see how full that cell is? That cell is just about ready to be capped. When the queen lays, she lays things in a circle and clumps together. And so you will usually find larvae that is similar in age next to other larvae. You can kind of look at them. After a while, tell the age of the larva. This would be about 9 days, 8 or 9 days right there. That's about when they're capped. They're ready to be capped. These over here have been capped, these not yet. So that's about the way to tell the age of them. And you'll learn that by looking at it. They eggs for about 3 days, and you can see these eggs. And I look at mine, I don't see them that easily. And here it shows they're egg for 3 days, and then they're larvae, and then about day 9 they're capped, and then they spend the rest of their time developing, and finally on to a 21 they emerge as an adult. Here is some dates, some numbers to remember. Don't be overwhelmed by this. I'll show you how to do this. But these are numbers we need to remember. All three are an egg for the same length of time, 3 days. Would you remember that, right? And so, but we noticed that there's some differences in some of the other times. Let's look at the worker first. The worker is really an important number to remember there. But look, 3 and 3 is 6, 6 and 6 is 12. Then you add those all together and you have 21. So that's one way to remember the worker. 21 is an important number to remember. 3, 6, 12, and then 21. If you got that, when you got that will help you. Now look at these numbers. This is the larva stage. If you have this, the queen is a half a day less, the drone is a half a day more. So that's the way to remember that. The queen is a half a day less, drawing a half a day more. But these numbers down here are some numbers that you need to just memorize. We've already got 21 locked in our mind, I'm sure. 16 for the queen, 24 for the drone. The drone takes longer to develop. The queen.
All right, guys, as you can see from the meeting, I didn't catch it all for some reason. My camera only caught the first 30 minutes, but hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Comment if you want to see more of those. I'll start filming those meetings. I'm going camping this weekend over in Huntsville, Alabama, so there'll be a video on that one, so stay tuned. I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and we'll see you on the next one.